Hello everyone and welcome to Glory Hunter Season 5. Now, in the last season, we were obviously with Manchester United and we had a very successful season. We won the league again and won the Champions League. So we've already knocked off two of the European competitions that we need to do, as you can see below me. But of course, what that means is there is no point in us staying in England. We need to move country, we need to go somewhere else, so that is exactly what we've done. Now the team that we've moved to, you can already see it in the title and in the thumbnail, it is AC Milan, so we are moving over to Italy. So we start off with the confirmation that we have indeed been appointed the manager of AC Milan, and you can see at the bottom there it says that they lifted the title last season 11 points ahead of Napoli, so we'll be looking to win the title again, obviously. You can see there it says we've got a record of 172 wins, 33 draws and 29 defeats. 2 league titles and 6 cups. That's a pretty good record if you ask me. Anyway, the first thing we did as AC Milan manager was sign 37-year-old Robert Lewandowski for £18 million. Now you might be wondering why we've signed someone so old in terms of footballing terms, but all you got to do here is just look at his attributes. It is insane, and little spoiler, just look out for Lewandowski a little bit later on in this episode. I just wanted to show you this friendly quickly, where we beat the opposition 23-0, and there was only 200 people in attendance to watch this absolute thrashing. We had 12 XG, and they had literally 0. Moving on to the transfers, this is all the transfers we've done so far. So obviously we brought in Lewandowski, I've showed you that already. We also made a record signing for Milan where we signed Yeremy Pino from Villarreal for 75 million up to 107 depending on certain transfer clauses and appearance fees, etc. And we also signed Nicolo Casau, which is the guy you're looking at here. He's just sort of like a backup centre-back because we didn't have that many. It didn't cost us that much, so overall, not too bad. And then Yeremy Pino, he is absolutely fantastic. Just look at his attributes. His form last season was brilliant. So hopefully he should be able to help us achieve our targets this season. And immediately, we look at the top goal scorer odds, and Lewandowski is right up there with by far the best odds. So hopefully he should be putting in quite a few goals for us this season. Now, after all of those transfers, this is the squad that we've got. So you can see our main players are going to be Leao, Pino, Lewandowski, Hernandez. So all of those guys that we've signed already. And this is the tactic that we're going to be going for. So a 4-2-3-1 once again. But we have changed it up a little bit. We're not going quite so attacking. So out of possession, we've gone mid-block. Not pressing quite so intense. So, you know, we're still going to be trying to score a lot. We've got a lot of guys on attack, but we're conscious of making sure we're defensively solid as well. So the first game was against Empoli, and immediately Lewandowski scores in the 14th minute, and then Ketelar makes it 2-0. Next up, we play away from home against Sampdoria, where Lewandowski, of course, gets his name on the score sheet, and then Benassa finishes it off to make it 2-0 once again. We then beat Hellas Verona 3-0, and then we had our first loss of the season against Fiorentina, who beat us 2-1 away from home. But we rebounded nicely when we played against Napoli. They opened the scoring and got the first goal of the game, but of course Lewandowski wasn't going to let that slide, and he got the first goal for our side. He then got a second goal using his head, and then got himself a hat-trick, and then the game ended at 3-1. We then play against Sassuolo, where Lewandowski got the first goal of the game, of course. Yeremy then passes it on to Ketelar, who then gets the second goal of the game. Theo has a lovely cross onto Lewandowski. Nice header to make it 3-0. Barnes passes it on to Tonali, 4-0. And then they get themselves a consolation goal in the 90-plus second minute. But it doesn't matter because we win 4-1. We then beat Roma 3-0, which is a big game to win there. Lewandowski getting himself on the score sheet once again. And then we beat Bologna 5-0. And the rest of October was also pretty successful because we beat Juventus 2-0, another big game. We beat Venezia 3-0 and then Cagliari 5-0. Some very high-scoring games there. We didn't concede a single goal in October. Our next game, though, saw us come against Monza, where they got the first goal of the game in the 23rd minute. And then from a corner and in a header, they get the second goal of the game. We get one back through Leao, who puts it nicely past the keeper, but that unfortunately is going to be the end of the goal scored here because Calabria has a horrible tackle on the Monza player, gets himself sent off in the 76th minute and makes our second loss of the season. But our next game against Salernitana went a little bit better, as you already saw the first goal there from Yeremy Pino. Lewandowski then puts it 2-0. They get one back just after half-time. But Pino this time with an assist, Lewandowski with his second goal of the game to put us 3-1 ahead, I think, at this point. Yeah, there we go. And then 4-1, they get themselves a consolation goal right at the end, but it doesn't matter too much because we won the game 4-2. We didn't have 2 draws in a row, which isn't too great because that's 4 points that we could have won. And then we have a big game away from home against Inter, who opened the scoring through Martinez in just the 12th minute, and then he does it again to put us 2-0 down within 28 minutes. Not looking too good. But of course, we're not going to let that slide, are we? So Calabria just runs into the box, passes it on to Lewandowski, makes it 2-1, and then just before half-time actually, in the 45th plus 1 minute, we make it 2-2, and then we have another draw. Now, next up, we're at home this time against Lazio. Ketelaere puts it in the 11th minute. Lewandowski tries to put it in himself, but Leao is there to make sure it goes in the net to make it 2-0. And then another goal there from Ketelaere, and then we weren't done there, were we? Lewandowski wanted to get himself a lovely goal there to make it 4-0. We then beat Atalanta 3-1 at home, and a rather quiet January saw us win 3 times in a row, whilst also not conceding a single goal. And after the Sampdoria game, we are at the top of the table, 21 games in, with Inter on exactly the same points as us. Now, bear in mind, they are unbeaten entirely. They've won 15, drawn 6. They haven't lost a single game. We've lost 2, so this could be a very, very tight title race come the end of the season. Next game saw us play the away fixture against Hellas Verona, where Leao made our presence known in just the second minute to make it 1-0, and then Ketelaere makes it 2. They get one back in the 54th minute, and then they make it level in the 86th minute. It looks like we could be getting a draw here, but of course we're not, because Ketelaere in the 87th minute makes sure we get those very important 3 points. Now let's just have a quick look at what transfer business we've done in the January transfer window. So the main signing is Kovacic, who we've brought in from Chelsea. We had a little bit of lack of depth in the midfield, so I just thought we'd bring him in. He could be a good backup option for us. We've also brought in Ake on loan from City, and then we've bought Henrique, who is not going to be a striker we'll be using, but he's a bit of a wonder kid, so hopefully Milan will be able to use him in the future. And we can see that we are by far spending the most money on wage expenditure by, 300,000 compared to Inter and Juventus. So we really should be winning this league. Anyway, next game, we play Fiorentina for the home fixture this time, where we win 2-0. And then we have a little bit of an injury crisis at left back. You can see all of our left backs are injured, which means that we're having to play Wijnaldum at left back. And these are the results for February and March. So February was a bit mixed. We had 2 wins, but then we lost to Napoli and Juventus, which isn't great, and then drew to Roma. But then we had a good recovery in March, where we won all 3 of our games without conceding a single goal once again. And a quick check on the table reveals that we are in second place at the moment. 30 games played, 8 left to go. We're only 3 points behind Inter, and Inter have finally lost their first game against Sampdoria. But we are now the chasers, so every single point is absolutely crucial here. I mean, Napoli, we can't count them out. They're only 1 point behind us. So, going to be very, very exciting to see who ends up the title leaders. And our next game, we bag 3 points against Salernitana. We then have our home fixture against Monza, the team that beat us last time, and I thought it was happening all again because they get the first goal, but then Ketelaere makes sure it's level. Leao then makes it 2-1, so we're ahead at this point. Ketelaere, once again, this is now 3-1 in, I don't even know what minute, 46th minute. Kovacic, 4-1. Ketelaere gets himself his first hat-trick of the season, I think. Makes it 5-1, and then Lewandowski, of course. He wasn't going to go the entire game without scoring, and that makes it 6-1. Now, after 32 games, we are back on top, level on points with Inter. Just our goal difference is helping us, and that is mainly from Lewandowski. As you can see, he has got 32 goals already this season. Ketelaere has got the best average rating, and then we fill all 3 slots for the amount of assists. So yeah, overall, our team playing very, very well. Our next game sees us beat Cremonese 3-0, and crucially, Inter lose another game, this time 4-1 against Napoli, which means that they've actually fallen 3 points behind us, and Napoli are 1 point behind us. So, still all to play for here. Now, next 2 games are pretty successful. We beat Udinese 4-0 and then Lazio 3-2. And then we have a very, very important game here against Inter, where Ketelaere squares it over to Leao. He puts it in the net, and that's the only goal of the game. So, we beat Inter. Very, very crucial. And then we play Atalanta, where Harvey Barnes gets the winning goal, which means that we have won the Serie A, because we're on 91 points with 1 game left to go, and Inter and Napoli can only get a maximum of 88 points. So we've done it with a very healthy goal difference as well. So the next thing we need to try and win is the cup. We would have done everything we need to in Italy, which would be absolutely amazing to do in just one season. And even though we spent quite a lot of money on transfers, we actually made a net profit of 12 million. So we managed to win the league while not actually spending any money, technically. I mean, you see Juventus down there at the bottom. They've spent 93 million. Inter spent 38. Now, just in case any of you were wondering how our old team Manchester United were doing, well, they finished 4th. Not too far off of the league title winners Arsenal, surprisingly, with 78 points. But yeah, not quite getting the league win again, unfortunately. Anyway, our final league game saw us win 4-0, which means that we finished the season on 94 points, 9 points ahead of Napoli. And then Inter ended up finishing 3rd, which is just mad. And just to rub the salt in the wounds of both Inter and Napoli, their total of 85 points is apparently a new record high without winning the Serie A title. Now, moving on to the Cup, the third round was against Salernitana, who we beat 2-0. We then beat Bologna 3-2 in the quarter-final. And then the semi-final was against Inter, who we beat 3-2 in the first leg and then 1-0 in the second. And the final will be against Atalanta, who last won the Cup in 1963. So should be, hopefully, a pretty simple game. And the first opportunity starts with a series of headers there, ending with Lewandowski passing it on to Ketelaere, who gets the first goal of the game to make it 1-0, and then Lewandowski makes it 2-0, and with that, we win the Cup. Now, we were obviously in the Champions League, but Glory Hunter-wise, it doesn't really matter, so I'll just show you a quick summary here. So we got all the way to the quarter-final, but unfortunately, we got drawn against Real Madrid, which we're obviously going to lose. So, yeah, only made it to the quarter-final. And now, with all that done, it is time for the end-of-season review. And onto the transfers first, and you can see our best transfer by far was the £18 million spent on Lewandowski in 49 appearances. He got 47 goals. Now, I knew he was going to be good, but I didn't think he was going to be quite that good. And then Pino as well was fantastic. He, in 48 appearances, got 26 assists and 8 goals. So very, very good from him. 107 million well spent. And for the conclusion here, you can see the 3 trophies we won this season. So we won the Serie A, the Coppa Italia, and we also won the Supercoppa, but didn't bother showing you that, to be honest, because who cares? So with all that done, we will update our tracker to show that we have completed Italy. And there you go, AC Milan at the bottom for both the league and the cup. So for next episode, of course, we're not going to be staying in Italy. That would be absolutely pointless. We're going to try and get a job somewhere in France, Germany or Spain. I'd imagine either Germany or Spain, because obviously we've already done part of France, so we might as well try and move on to the 2 countries that we haven't done yet. But bear in mind, we do still need to win the Europa League. So, yeah, it will depend on what's available. We'll see. But other than that, thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, all that fantastic stuff. And I'll see you next time.